everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Flagler County. So today I'm super excited to have my guest Toni with us today. Toni, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing this for me. I
Of
appreciate it too.
Of course. Well, Toni's become a really great friend of our family. And she's also very great friends with Joshua McLean, who's also been on the podcast, and I've been on his. So there's just a lot of love here. So I'm really excited to kind of talk a little bit more about what Toni's doing right now. But first, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about your journey coming here to Flagler and being here in Flagler?
I am a military wife, was raised military, so I'm kind of traveling all around. So we ended up in Tennessee. I owned a brick and mortar business there. And then I decided, I came down here for a conference, but I don't know, back in 2018, I think it was. And I wanted to see the sunrise, so I came up to the ocean and fell in love with Flagler Beach. And ever since 2018, I've been working my way back. So I've been here now almost 3 years. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you've been kind of all over the state. How kind of what do you love about Flagler that you haven't found elsewhere?
Um, well, first of all, Florida weather is awesome. There's no snow or ice. Ocean calls me. I'm not a beach bunny. I don't like to lay on the beach or anything like that, but I love walking out there first thing in the morning and watching the sunrise because to me that just signifies fresh start, a brand new day. Yesterday's done. Let's move forward. So I've always loved the ocean and loved watching it at sunrise. So this
I'm
is
the same
perfect.
exact way. I won't go into the ocean necessarily. I'm not gonna start like swimming, going to the Olympics, surfing, God forbid, no. But I do love to just like sit there with like a cup of coffee and just kind of watch the sunrise and have the ocean in the background noise. I think that's the best thing that it's so crazy that we just have that in our pocket, like we can just drive down to the beach. It sounds almost like unreal still. But that's
Really.
yeah, I mean, Tennessee, they do snow a decent amount, and I'm from Michigan, so you don't have to tell me twice about snow. Been there, done that, past chapter in my life. But I'd love for you to share a little bit about your business and what you do.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I can't have just one. So I do a couple different things. Currently, right now, I do all the marketing and social media for Cut Up and Sew here in Palm Coast, and now they have a second location up in St. Augustine. It is a hobby shop. People need to understand that we teach sewing, we teach quilting. I am a teacher. I have been teaching quilting and sewing for over almost 20 years now. So I little bit knowledgeable on that. But my personal businesses, I have two. I have one called Virtubreeze, and that's where I am helping out smaller businesses who can't afford that big agency to help them with their social media. So normally I have a couple home party people that are pattern designers in my industry. So it's all in craft industry. And then I have another business, which is what you see in my background if you're watching this, is Just Beachy Studio, and that's my teaching platform. So I teach through that virtually and in person at Cut Up and Sew. And then I also do custom work. I create patterns for the industry. Um, you know, I love the quilting and sewing industry, so been very active in that for over 20 years as well. So
Wow,
that's
so
a
you've
little bit of what I do.
yeah, just a little whatever I don't know what's wrong with me recently. I don't remember any phrases. I've been mixing up phrases left and right recently. What was I gonna say? A little drop in the bucket is what I was gonna say. That's what I don't know why I keep forgetting them recently. But anyways, that's so great. And I mean, you're one of those people who is a natural born teacher. I can see that. And what is it like specifically do you love about teaching when it comes to quilting and sewing and the entire craft industry?
Well, I love, I used to call myself a Jill of all trades. So I am a Jill still of all trades because I can do anything, if I put my mind to it, except paint. I don't paint well.
Hmm.
But I love seeing the aha moments.
Mm-hmm.
This goes with business owners I've worked with as well, because I've coached and mentored some other businesses. And, the aha moment when I say, this works if you try it this way. And it's like, no, and they're they feel successful. They feel confident and they feel enlightened, especially with quilting because it's a hobby, people want this to be relaxing. They want it to be fulfilling and not stressful. So I love seeing my students growing from that and just engaging with each other. I build community through my classes, and yeah, I love seeing that happen as well.
I mean, that just makes sense, especially when so many people are coming together in a space kind of like yours, and they're all like you mentioned, it's a hobby. It's something they want to do to relax, to de-stress, and being in that type of environment while connecting with people. That's kind of like the most ideal time to connect with people because you're centered. You don't feel the weight of the world, except maybe if a stitch is going wrong, then maybe that's not like maybe I'll stay away for you for a few minutes, but.
Right.
Other than that, like, that's I'm sure you've just seen some beautiful bonding moments either in your class or outside of your class where people have come and been like, "Thank you so much for this class." I've been able to meet some really great people from it.
Right. And I've watched those friendships and relationships grow. It's kind of cool
It
because
is.
everybody's inspirational and encouraging. So that's the best thing about learning and being in a learning environment.
Yeah. You personally, what is your favorite thing to either, knit or sew?
Well, I am a quilter at heart, so I love the process of putting my fabric. My husband likes to say, "You take a perfectly good piece of fabric, cut it apart, and then sew it back together." Yeah, that's what it is. So I just love the putting it back together. I love the piecing. I also like the designing, the geometric element of
Mm,
quilting itself.
that's
So, and then
so
I love
cool.
to knit. So that's a whole nother thing. You brought the word knitting up, but I do love
Yeah,
to
I
knit.
apologize. All my friends knit, so that's why I was thinking of that. But quilting and knitting
Yeah.
and sewing, they're all different, and I should remember this for next time, so I apologize.
Okay.
But you can do everything, so that's great to know as well. What kind of tips would you recommend for anyone out there who's maybe thought about doing something in this avenue, but maybe they just like haven't really jumped on it yet, or they're like, oh, maybe it's just not for me. I'm not that creative, or anything like that. Like, what would you tell those people?
Um, that's a good question. I wasn't ready for that one, really.
Oh,
But when I meet people, especially first time they walk in the shop and they're like curious what's going on, I really engage and see where they want to go.
mm-hmm.
And being creative, playing with the colors, playing with the textiles, it's natural. I hate to say the word rush. I mean, and people enjoy
Mm,
that. So how I would try to bring people in is just again, I make them feel welcome. That's the biggest thing. If they don't
mm,
feel welcome, they're not going to step in that door.
right.
So and make sure they feel that you can do it. Anybody can do this. All it is something I need to teach you, and then you'll learn. So,
Yeah.
did that answer the question?
You definitely did. I think, because it's a very common, thing that I get as well, because my favorite thing is to bake, which is not necessarily the same thing, but for me, that's my creative outlet, right? Especially because, like, Tony, you know that my favorite thing to do is like I love to draw and stuff on macarons, right? And that's my favorite thing. And so many people are like, "Oh my gosh, Macy, I can never do that. I'm not creative." And I'm like, "I'm not creative either. Like, I don't know what you think I do." But, like, I usually, like, will cut out stencils or I'll follow, like, a YouTube tutorial or something, like, I'm not necessarily, like, the brainchild when it comes to creativity, but I think especially if there's a reason they're coming in the store or they're looking it up, there's something telling you that that's something you need to look into, and having someone like Tony be welcoming towards you, it makes all the difference to be like, "Okay," especially if it doesn't look the best the first time, I can continue to improve because I know Tony's gonna root for me. She's gonna be my cheerleader.
That's okay. I am a cheerleader.
And you're a great one. What's the best way that people can contact you? Maybe they've heard about, the few different businesses you mentioned and they're like, "Oh, I'm really interested in that one. I'm really interested in that one." Where can people find you and reach out if they'd like any questions or any help?
So you can find me pretty regularly at Cut Up and Sew. I do live videos and we talk about sewing and quilting and all sorts of stuff. That's at cutupandsew.com. And there's two locations. We have one in St. Augustine and one in I talk it like it's my shop. It's not. It's owned by Josh McLean and his wife Shan. But that's where you'll find me to help you and I do teach there as well. Um, and then my virtual breeze, it's a made up word. I made it up. I'm pretty excited. I like to say it's the wind beneath your business wings, and
Oh,
it is virtual breeze. VIRTUBREEZ EC E.com. Woo, just a little yeah.
we got it.
And then, of course, justbeachystudio.com is where you'll find all my creative outlets right now. And all my social medias are all the same too, justbeachy.com or cut up and sew. So,
Perfect, and I'll make sure I have all those links in the description so people can click, copy,
Thank you.
paste,
That makes it a lot easier
go.
because I know I messed up.
You're good. I like if I'm watching a video and they're telling me where to go, I'm like, I can't. I don't know what letters you just told me. They're not
Yeah.
real. And then I think you have a QR code behind you, so people can scan that, reach out. Would definitely recommend it. So, Tony, thank you so much for coming on and spending a few minutes with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate it too, and it's been fun.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. Well, before we hop off, I'd like to know, for any, maybe newbies in Flagler, or people who just kind of want to get out there, what would you recommend? Any places to go to, events to go to, groups to join, anywhere that can kind of get active with the community?
Well, I've been the best thing I did was hooking up with Manesh and Kim because they are into everything. So that's really nice if you could figure out how to reach out them. They are in BNI, they are in a couple other networking groups. And the other group I recommend is because I'm a woman-owned business. I recommend Bold Ladies of Flagler as well.
Perfect. And I'll make sure I have all of that information in the description as well. If people check it out, Bold Ladies is a great organization, and Anna's been on here, Lena's been on here, and they've given some really great advice as well for anyone who wants to get out there and network or just have some fun with some other people here in town. So, Tony, again, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. This is a fun topic. I like this. This was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of great things. So I appreciate you taking the time today.
No problem. Thank you.
Of course, and to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.